NCTV45, The Train, anytime on your time.
This program was provided through funding from Cedars Restaurant in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. A special thanks to Cedars, featuring Middle Eastern, Italian, and American cuisine.
RNA Screen Printing Newcastle is the place to go for signs, shirts, hats, vinyl lettering, embroidery, magnets, vehicle lettering, banners, window decals, and they can put your design on many items. They have decals for vehicles and signs for all your advertising needs. Great selection of sizes and styles of regular or glitter t-shirts. RNA can iron on a logo while you wait and can do any school logo. RNA Screen Printing, 1217 Moravia Street, Newcastle, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Call 724-652-2241.
Today's program was furnished by a grant from the Beanery Depot and Deli, featuring coffee, made-to-order subs, and snacks. The Beanery Depot and Deli in Mahoningtown.
Welcome to the Cedars Sports Corner, everybody. I'm Alex Laverson, and again, I'm joined by our producer, Mr. Angelo Parada. Today, we're going to continue talking about the hot mess that is Pitt Panthers athletics, and we both thought since their athletic director, Heather Like, was on the Fan Morning Show today and said some pretty interesting things that, why not jump in on the conversation? And one of the interesting things that she was asked is whether there are finally going to be tarps at Heinz Field. And according to multiple sources, and
Is that supposed to be a covered defense that Pitt's going to interact?
Well,
throw tarps over to wide receivers so they're covered.
Here's the deal.
Especially against Florida State, I'm just saying.
Well, they would take the tarp off for bigger games like that. But it's all about perception and making the stadium look nicer. I don't know how I feel about that. One, I think it's kind of embarrassing either way. You're putting tarps out to... I know you're making it look a little better, and I'm sure they wouldn't have the camera angled that way and things like that.
It doesn't look better. Tarps look like tarps no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I mean...
Pitt blew it by letting their AD have free reign, tear down Pitt Stadium when it could have been covered with a dome. It would have been the look of the city, and on top of it, you could have played Pitt basketball inside.
Well,
it would have helped Pitt's indoor track program.
Again, I don't know the whole...
Tell me how many minuses there are. There aren't.
The minuses of having a football...
covered domes football stadium, just like...
No. I agree. I think it would be great if Pitt had an on-campus stadium, things like that. We talked about this before. I just don't know how practical it would be in terms of... is there space on campus for it? I know for years there was...
Well, they tore down the good stadium.
Well, it was a historic stadium, but the stadium was crumbling apart and needed upgraded. Well, no, listen. Let me finish here. All right, I'm not saying Pitt should or should not have had Pitt Stadium replaced with a better football stadium upgraded, or that it should have been the Pete. Basically what I'm saying is this. I think ideally Pitt could have a 45,000, or Pitt should have a 45,000 seat stadium on campus. Heinz Field is obviously too big. I just don't know if they can. In terms of whether they screwed that up years ago, it's over with. Nothing you could do now. So the Peterson Event Center is there, and I kind of felt like when the Peterson Event Center replaced Pitt Stadium, it was such a outward manifestation of what was going on. It's like Pitt, basically, it was like Pitt saying we're going to be a basketball school now. And I don't know if that was their rationale behind it or not. I know they wanted to share it with the Steelers and things like that. But it really was kind of like signifying a new era.
That shows you that shows you the mentality. There isn't one off-campus football program that's a winner. Name one.
Well, Miami shares it with the Dolphins.
Not anymore.
Oh, well, aren't they off campus though?
No.
Are you positive? I thought Miami had a.
And they're not a perennial. They're not a perennial. You might get a flash in a pan and then boom, they're gone. Okay. The long haul of it is UCLA's not winning all the time. USC's not winning all the time. Minnesota's not winning all the time. Houston is not winning all the time, which is probably more representative of Pitt. But I consider Pitt has the option to be big time or small time. By reducing their football program, how excited is a kid going to be to go out to Pitt and then say, okay, now for practice, catch the bus, go downtown.
I know.
For practice.
I know. You're talking about atmosphere, convenience. I agree with all that. Trust me. I went to Pitt. I got my certifications there. I know the frustration of it.
The band marches to the stadium at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is no tradition like that at Heinz Field. I wish Pitt could have their own stadium. I don't know if they can. Maybe there's a way. I don't know. All I know is
Tear
that...
down the Pete. Play downtown at the
console.
Yeah. And put the stadium back.
I'm a football guy, so that all sounds good to me. Is it possible? I don't know. Like, contracts, agree with scheduling. I don't know if it's possible. I agree in principle with what you're saying. As a Pitt football fan, if I want to be proud of Pitt football, if Pitt football wants to be, serious, I feel like they do need to have an identity. This is what I would do. Not that this would make them a consistent winner, but if you want to signify to your fan base that we're going to be a football school, I feel like they started doing that. They hired Pat Narduzzi a couple years ago, and he had a down year last year. He was pretty successful the first couple years. Let's bring tradition back. I say make the uniforms blue and yellow full time. If somehow an on-campus stadium could happen, great. I definitely think it shouldn't really be above 45,000. Would you be on board with?
Well, now you got to watch because there's a regulation in the NCAA. You have to have a so many seat stadium to be Division I.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's Division I stadiums that are 45,000.
Okay. And I don't know if it's 45 or 52.
50,000. I'd make the capacity smaller than it is a Heinz Field. If I'm correct, I believe 40,000 to 45,000 is usually the standard for schools who are Division I, such as Cincinnati, TCU.
I say, you know what? I say make it 50,000. Okay, 52. That was the old size of Notre Dame. I say rep out the Peterson Event Center. Go back to who you were, a football school.
Oh, we're gonna.
Okay.
Next time we're gonna hit on that too,
and then play basketball and start to build up a rep so that Penn State wants to play you, not you want to play Penn State.
And we are gonna get into that in our next segment too, because Heather Like touched on that a little bit.
Take a break.
And so we're gonna take a break now. A word from our sponsors.
Hey, Angelo Parada here for Croakers, Kegs, and Corks. And if that's not a mouthful, nothing is. But when you need a mouthful of that special brew, it's Croakers, Kegs, and Corks. Nothing tastes better than when you make it yourself. And I do some of that brew myself quite often. I like doing it. It's a great hobby, and it's something you can do. Kroger's works located right in Union Township. Give them a try.
This program furnished by the MAD Unit, Mobile Auto Detailing. See Michael Sad at themadyunit.com. Funding provided by Main Street Clothiers and Tailors, Washington Street, Newcastle.
Welcome back to the Cedars Sports Corner, everybody. As I said in our first segment, Heather Lyke was on the Fan Morning Show today. And she also did talk about the potential of Pitt and Penn State playing again, but it wouldn't be until 2026, realistically. In the meantime, where does West Virginia fall in the picture? That's a question she was asked, and she was also asked, Kevin Stallings, is he gone or not? I think the consensus is he's going to be gone, but is it going to be this year or not? The fact that she was non-committal today, and there's 2 games left in the college basketball season. If you're not committal to your coach with 2 games left in the season, I think she's pretty much saying he's gone. And he's gone. She did not hire him. No athletic director that hired their own coach would dare fire their own hire after 2 years, because it'd make them look terrible, of course. And thing is, Heather Lyke doesn't have that problem now because Stallings wasn't her hire. Now, to be fair, she also said that wouldn't be a determining factor, that the fact that he wasn't her hire, that would be a determining factor if he'd come back or not, but yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
First of all, breaking it down, here's how I feel about Pitt and Penn State. You get the state legislature to legislate that Pitt and Penn State play every year. And it's a kickoff classic. It benefits public education in Pennsylvania, and you play it because you can do that, and you can play it every year in August.
End of August, early September. Well, I mean, it'd have to be early September. I get what you're saying, though.
Okay, well, everybody's back in school. Okay, so on that August Labor Day weekend, when all the other kickoffs are going, bang, it's the Western Pennsylvania Bowl to benefit public education in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real simple deal.
Oh, I think they should play every year. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in our previous segment. You basically said Pitt should be with the big boys, and until they get out of Rent-A-Center Stadium, why would Penn State want to play them? And it's kind of like, it's almost a lose-lose for them. Because if they do lose to a Pitt program that has little to no interest, that hurts them in recruiting. But if they win against Pitt, it's like, oh yeah, we beat lowly Pitt, what's the big deal? Now, of course, if Pitt was ranked in the top 10 or something, that'd be a different story, but how long is that going to be?
But you have to build up to where you want to be.
Oh yeah, I
just
agree.
Don't go out and say we're going to do it next year.
No,
Okay.
Listen, I agree. I'm just saying, though, I believe it's interconnected.
Rip down the Pete.
Ripped out the Pete. And
As far as West Virginia goes,
we talked about this on one of our previous shows. I'm fine with Pitt playing West Virginia.
West Virginia is a good example of what Pitt is not.
Yes.
West Virginia, let's go Mountaineers. They got themselves, their stadium's nice, they got a tradition, it's on campus, okay, and you know what? Don't cry for me, West Virginia. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and Pitt should consider playing them on Thanksgiving at the end of every year.
The Backyard Brawl was the rivalry I grew up with. I only seen Pitt and Penn State play a handful of times, but when I was growing up, got really into it. The Backyard Brawl is the game my father would take me to. That is an intense game. fans are going at each other. Heinz Field at least was full of that during that game, but it was because West Virginia fans were basically the ones selling it out. And, you know, the bottom line is Pitt is in, with their two major sports, Pitt is in right now pretty bad turmoil. Yeah, the basketball program, you know, they're going to hire a new coach. And my favorite thing is how there's still some fans that want to bring Sean Miller into the picture. First of all, he's going to be on, a couple... NCAA is going to give him...
all his problems
he's untouchable. He's not going to be allowed to coach for 2 years anyway because of all the probationary stuff that's going to go on with him. Even if there wasn't, imagine if he somehow would want to come to Pitt. I don't know why he would, because Arizona is a way better job. But imagine he comes to Pitt, and then more stuff comes out, more baggage. Pitt has to get rid of him again or whatever. It's just too much of... It's too toxic, honestly. But also at the same time, this is something that's going on in college basketball as a whole. I mean, it's going to be really worked up to the point, we're going to have to take a break here. So we'll take a break and maybe continue on this next segment. So let's get into it, and a word from our sponsors.
Today's programming is brought to you by NCTV45 and NC Radio 450, Newcastle's community television station. This program furnished by Sporting Goods, 23 East Washington Street, Newcastle. Call 724-658-2535. These fine businesses provided funding for this program. Gatherings, Town and Country, and On Target.
And we're back.
And I'm a little more calm than I was at the end of last segment, but still...
I'm telling you, you come in here pretty riled up.
It's because, man, I love college hoops. I loved growing up watching Pitt basketball. And now...
I should sing you one of those great lullabies they're singing in Pittsburgh this basketball season.
Man, you're pretty brutal right now. Listen.
Sing a run for the red and blue. Well, the Dukes, they start off fast, and then they got a flat tire, and nobody's ever heard of them.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny that Duquesne was making fun of Pitt basketball on Twitter the other night. It come to that point where Duquesne basketball is making fun of Pitt basketball. And Pitt basketball's firing back saying, oh, we only have 8 wins, but you're one of our wins, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is Pitt basketball is now winless in the ACC. Only 8 wins of the year. It's time for a change. Heather Lake's going to make a change at the end of the season. It's pretty apparent. I don't know who's going to want to come here. The job wasn't that attractive when Jamie Dixon left. And it was because basically the perception was the administration let Jamie Dixon walk, and you'd have to follow in the footsteps of a guy who was basically getting you to the NCAA tournament every year, getting you at least 20 wins. And in Pittsburgh, which is not a hotbed for college basketball talent, the expectations seemed outrageous for what could be accomplished at Pitt. And now they're getting rid of a coach after 2 years. I mean, I don't know what any notable coaches want to come here.
To give you an idea, with the Dukes, they've lost the last 6 in a row. They were 15-8.
Yep.
Dropping 6 in a row. They could have been 21-8 right now. And talk about a crash course. Now, on the other hand, you've got Pitt, who's 0-17 in the conference. Okay. And if that isn't bad, they're 8-22 overall. They have a losing streak of 17.
Oh my God! Yeah, look.
Okay.
Their attendance is about 4,000 a game. That's terrible.
They're not even going to
The CBI.
They're not going to any tournament.
By default, they'll go to the ACC tournament and lose in the first round. But
I mean, now the Dukes could possibly do anything. It's like, okay, we've seen the good Dukes and the bad Dukes. Would the real Dukes please stand up as they try to make their way, through? I just think that
it's a shame. It's a shame. We were excited.
Yeah.
We were excited not that long ago. I was trying to give Kevin Stallings the benefit of the doubt, and again, I'm not saying it's all his fault. He was left in a pretty messy situation, had to rebuild, get his own players. But the point is, the program is so underneath right now. You kind of have to do damage control. I mean, when you're only getting 4,000 fans, and the Pete was selling out not that long ago. It was one of the best venues in college basketball. Now it's one of the emptiest.
Now here's a difference, just to give you an idea. Duquesne head coach Jerry Schmidt announced today that the University of Hawaii has been added to the 2018 schedule. Duquesne will play its second against a football bowl subdivision program. The first game west of the Rocky Mountains since 1947 when they played San Francisco. So, Duquesne football on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you have to look at that and say, okay, Duquesne now is outperforming Pitt. In all fairness.
In basketball, yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's
I'm not going to compare.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you compare apples with apples, Pitt is not doing what they have to do in football either.
For pound for pound, what they should be doing.
Right. I'm saying pound for pound, Duquesne's holding their own.
Right. I do think Pitt football is going to get better. I'm not saying they're going to be winning the ACC. I think they could get back to their, getting 8 wins a year, getting 10 wins here and there, and, possibly, not possibly, I think they have a realistic shot of eventually being able to win the ACC Coastal. It can happen, especially with their freshman, well, he won't be a freshman this year, with Kenny Pickett, who came in last year, his first start against Miami, and, man, last game of the year, playing the number 2 ranked team in the country, had all that confidence. I'm going to be optimistic about the Panthers, and I really do like Pat Narduzzi.
And for Duquesne football, you're seeing wins against West Virginia Wesleyan. You're seeing wins against Robert Morris, against St. Francis, okay, which makes them a dominant force in Western Pennsylvania.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, look, good for them. I mean, there has to be some upside to college football in PA, well, in western part of PA, and I guess all in all, I'm going to be optimistic for Pitt football. I'm pretty pessimistic for Pitt basketball. Maybe maybe this is the shift. Maybe Pitt's doing a 180 and going back to a football school. Maybe that's the way it'll be moving forward. But Angelo, do you have anything else you want to vent about? Any other comments?
I just think it was a really good show. I'd like to say hello to everybody out there. And also that this week in North County Baseball, right around the corner, talk to all the folks, and we're going to have a game of the week out there for you every week right here on NCTV45.
And one thing I'm going to want to do is, since March Madness is coming up, maybe we'll have a March Madness show, and we'll go over regions and the brackets, and that's one of my other favorite times of the year, March Madness. Only fill out one bracket, though. Don't fill out 32, which everyone else does. But that's a wrap for our show, and I hope you all have
A special thanks to the YMCA for caring about the Lawrence County community and providing funding for this program.